The journey continues, and the foundation has been laid, which is Jesus Christ, the Holy One of Israel. He is the solution to all fundamental issues of life. This is the Promise of God TV, and I am Prophet F.M. Matthew, by God's plan. Viewers, welcome to the Promise of God TV. Welcome to the Promise of God TV. It takes courage to act upon what you and the Lord spoke about in the secret place. It takes courage to come out in the public and execute what you and the Lord talked about in the secret place. Viewers, let us open our Bibles in the book of Joshua, chapter 1. We will read verse 2, 5, 6, 7, and 9. Let us start from verse 2. Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give them, to the Israelites. Now this is the calling of Joshua. Now this is Joshua and the Lord in the secret place. Verse 5. No one will be able to stand up against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Now this is the promise to Joshua. No one will be able to stand up against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Verse 7. Be strong and very courageous. Verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. Now the Lord keeps on repeating the same words in verse 6, verse 7, and verse 9. Be strong and courageous. It takes courage to act upon what you and the Lord talked about in the secret place. It takes courage to come out in the public and execute what you and the Lord talked about in the secret place. Now here we find the Lord talking to Joshua in the secret place, telling Joshua that Moses, my servant, is dead. I want you to lead the Israelites to the promised land. And I'm sure Joshua was thinking, you want me to lead your people? But it is Moses that took us out of Egypt. It is Moses that helped us to cross the Red Sea. We ate manna in the wilderness because of Moses. And Lord, the Israelites, the people that you are talking about, I know how they act when they are unhappy. They complain, they grumble, they murmur. So these are the very same people that you want me to lead. These are the very same people that you want me to lead. It takes courage to act upon what you and God talked about in the secret place. It takes courage to come out in the public and execute what you and the Lord spoke about in the secret place. Now, this is where many of us remain in this position. We have the promise, but yet we don't have courage. We have the promise, and we don't have the courage. The courage to take the first step and to continue moving forward. Many of us are worried. What if my family doesn't understand? What if my friends are not okay with this? What if society does not accept me? What if people don't believe that, Lord, you have called me, that, Lord, you spoke to me? What if people don't believe my revelation? The only thing that stands between you and your destiny, you and your promised land, is courage. Having the courage to take the first step and to keep on moving forward. Let us take a look at the life of Abraham. Abraham, leave your country, leave your family, and go to the land that I will show you, the land that I want you to inherit. It takes courage to leave your country, to leave your family, leaving everything behind you. You've got a roof over your head. You've got everything. You've got resources. You've got access to everything. Leaving everything behind you and heading into the wilderness. It takes courage. It takes courage. If we take the life of Noah, I want you to build an ark. It takes courage to start building an ark. What do you think people were saying? What are you doing? Why are you putting your family through this? Do you think it's the Lord that talked to you? Don't you think that if God spoke to you about this, He would have told us to help you? Why are you going through all this? It takes courage to take the first step and to keep moving forward. It takes courage to hold on to the promise of God and taking the first step and moving forward. Let us take a look at the life of Moses. Moses, I want you to go back to Egypt and free my people. I want you to go back to Egypt and free my people and take them to the promised land. It takes courage to return to the very same place that you are running away from. It takes courage to return to the very same place where they know you as a murderer. Now you are returning and telling them that I am your deliverer. I am going to free you. I am going to free you today from Egypt and take you to the promised land. It takes courage to move from that position, go back to the very same place that you are running away from. It takes courage. Many of us today are worried, Lord, what if things don't work out? What if I fail? What will people say about me? Won't people make a mockery of me? It takes courage. Now, the courage to take the first step is like jumping off a cliff. The moment you jump off the cliff, there is nothing else that you are holding on to besides the promise of God. When you jump off the cliff, there is nothing else that you are holding on to besides the promise of God. When Abraham decided to leave his country and relocate, the first step that he took and stepped into the wilderness, and he said, Lord, I am now in the wilderness. I have nothing else. The only thing that I'm holding on to is your promise. And it takes courage to take the first step. I am building this ark as Noah. I am building this ark. It's been years. Lord, I have nothing else. I am holding on to your promise that rain will fall and your promise will prevail. As Moses, Lord, I am going back to Egypt. I am going back to Egypt. taking this step, I have nothing else, but all that I'm holding on to is your promise. Courage is taking that first step, and you have nothing else to hold on to but the promise of God. And the promise of God will prevail. For some of you, God made a promise long time ago. God spoke to you to start a business. God spoke to you to start an orphanage home. A giving organization. He spoke to you to pursue a certain career, maybe even called you to ministry. He called you 6 years ago, 10 years ago. He gave you this revelation 3 years ago, 2 years ago. But what stands between your destiny and your promised land today is courage. You need to have the courage to take the first step and keep on moving forward. Courage does not mean perfection. Courage means holding on to the promise of God. You need to take this step, jump off this cliff, and hold on to the promise of God. And I can assure you that rain will fall in your life and the sun will shine in your favor. His promise will prevail. The Lord was talking to Joshua. Have courage. Be courageous. Be courageous. Be courageous. Be courageous. Be courageous. This is a message to you today. The Lord spoke to you in the secret place. The Lord gave you a revelation. You had an encounter. You had a vision. God told you to start a business. God told you to start a ministry. God told you to pursue a certain career. God told you to start an orphanage home. It is something that happened. It was just only you and the Lord in the secret place. But all that is required from you is the courage to take the first step and to keep on moving. Courage. Take the first step and to keep moving forward. Just like Abraham took a step into the wilderness, a step of courage. Just like Noah taking a step of courage, and he just started to build the ark. Just like Moses taking a step of courage, going back to a place where I'm known as a murderer. And today I am telling them that the Lord spoke to me. It takes courage to act upon what you and the Lord talked about in the secret place when no one else was around. It was just you and the Lord. Will people believe me? Will my family understand me? Will my friends be okay with this? It takes courage to act upon what you and God spoke about in the secret place. It takes courage to come out in the public and execute what you, God, talked about in the secret place. Take this step. Take this step. Jump off this cliff and hold on to the promise of God. His promise will prevail in your life. It takes courage. It takes courage to take the first step to keep on moving forward. Courage is not perfection. That book of Genesis 28 verse 15, it says, I will never leave you until I have done what I've promised you. The promise of God will prevail in our lives. We are God's people.